Hello and welcome to another Yoga for Golfers. I'm Dr. Joe, and today in Cincinnati, you're going to see it is very cold and snowy. So if we want to get better at our golf game, you're going to have to take it inside. And if you're not going to practice, let's work on the body. So we're going to start with a few simple back bends. I'm going to face sideways so you can see me easiest. All I want you to do is bring your arms up overhead and bend backward. Nice simple bend. We're not trying to go too far just yet. We want to get the spine warmed up. If that position is a little tough for you, you can always bring your hands to your lower back and perform your back bends that way. You will feel your hips shoot forward, and that's perfectly fine. Open the chest up toward the sky and make sure you control your breathing. So the next one, I'm going to go ahead and take a bend toward the ground. And right now, I'm not worried about my knees being too straight. I want my hamstrings and my back to loosen up, so I'm just going to hang, maybe twist side to side a little bit, come halfway up, back down, and breathe. Now we're going to come all the way back up. Next, we're going to go all the way overhead, bend back, and then drop forward. Go ahead and bend all the way up and back, and bend forward. Again, you don't need to push yourself too hard just yet. We want to warm up the spines. We don't have to be very aggressive with our movements. We're going to get into more of that as we go. Next, because this is golf, we're going to add a little bit of a twist. So you can open up on the back bend, drop down, and I'm going to turn to my left. Coming up, bending back, turn it open to my right, and fall forward, turn at the bottom. All the way up, bend back, turn to the left, drop forward, and turn to the left again. All the way up, bend back, open to the right, face forward, and drop down. A little turn at the bottom. Do a few more back bends, a few more forward bends. Make sure we're controlling our breath again. Shouldn't be huffing and puffing just yet. Last back bend. And we'll bend forward. Great. From this forward bend, what I want you to do is step back with your left knee. Go ahead and drop down to the ground. Come up into a nice tall kneeling position. Spine upright, chest open up. We'll bring an arm overhead and bend back. Now this should lock the pelvis in place. Might put a little bit more stretch through the abs here. And we'll repeat a few times. So you can take this a little bit further by making sure you stabilize your pelvis. And we can kind of tuck this way like you're doing a crunch. Slide the hips forward. You'll feel a nice stretch to the front of your hip. You can hold that stretch and add your back bends on top. Just as far as you can comfortably go right now. Keeping in mind we want to control our breathing. Don't overexert yourself just yet. Yoga is all about control. Perfect. Go ahead and drop that arm down. Now we're going to add the first big twist and get the shoulders turning all the way away. You'll see both my shoulders coming around, so they're completely perpendicular to where I'm facing. Might feel a couple cracks and pops. That's just fine. That just means you're making things move. Control your breathing. A few more twists. And from here, we're going to drop down to both knees. Don't worry about that half kneeling position. We'll make our way back. We're on both knees and we'll drop our hands forward. We're going to run through a few simple cat-cow positions. So if you've seen these videos before, you know you're going to round the lower back, look underneath like you're looking between your legs, drop down, arch, and look up to the ceiling. Round, look down, arch, and look up to the ceiling. Now keep going with that. If you're having trouble with this, make sure you really want to focus on where the pelvis is moving. So when we come up to round, it's like I'm pulling that belly button in back toward the spine, really rounding through the lower back. And then when I go the other direction, I'm going to drop the lower back down and reach my head up for the ceiling. Pelvis tuck, get nice and rounded. Back drops down, going to look up to the ceiling. And let's move through that several times. Again, make sure you're maintaining your breath in a nice controlled manner. Really have to have control of our pelvis and our low back. We want to keep our low back healthy during the golf swing. It even lets you add a little bit of power. Great, now we just want to stretch that low back a little bit. So you can drop your feet down so the tops are flat on the mat. Bend back, sit, and then we'll drop into child's pose. This will be a fairly simple pose for you. Just make sure when you get crunched up, you're still breathing. Big inhale should feel the ribs expand, and an exhale should feel them fall in just a little bit. Big inhale is expanding. Exhale lets them drop in. I'll spend another 10 to 15 seconds here. Really let that low back round. Feel the stretch across your low back muscles. And then we're going to come back up to hands and knees again. We'll do a few more cat-cows before we go into our next position. So we're going to arch the lower back and round down. Arch and look up toward the ceiling with your eyes. Round down and look back down toward the mat and through your legs. Okay, we're going to come to a nice and neutral spine position. Make sure your hands are right underneath your shoulders. We'll go back into a plank position. Now we're going to lower down, lift the chest up just slightly into a Cobra pose. Let the chest come down, press back up, shift your weight back, drop your heels, and downward dog. First downward dog of the day. It's always helpful to pedal your ankles out. You're going to feel a lot of that tension in your calves and hamstrings start melting away. For some of us, it might take longer than others. But make sure you bring your focus back to your breath and staying nice and relaxed. Okay, we'll drop back over our hands, lower down like we're going to push up, come up into a Cobra pose, back down, toes on the mat, up, and down dog. Back over our hands, down, chest up, back down, press into like a push-up, and down dog. Now the next one we'll do something a little bit different. We'll shift over the hands, lower down. This time we're going to go into up dog. We're going to peel the whole chest and belly away from the mat. Really look up to the ceiling. See if you can see a spot directly above you. Lower down, feet on the mat, press up, and downward facing dog. Let's do a few repetitions of that one. Again, lower down, pressing an upward dog. We'll go back, press up, and back into down dog. Over your hands, lower down, upward dog, drop the chest, press up, and downward dog. Over your hands again, dropping down, peel all the way up, upward dog. We're going to go immediately into downward dog, skipping the press up. And we'll do one more just like that. Lower down, upward dog, and immediately into down dog. Great, now what we can do is drop the right knee to the mat, bring the left knee up, and we're going to return to that half kneeling position we were in before. Going to run through the same set of movements. We'll bring the right arm to the sky and bend back slowly and back forward. Bend back slowly and back forward. Again, making sure we keep control of our breath. Again, make sure we control the pelvis. Tuck like you're bringing the front of your pelvis up. Shift forward. You get a stretch in the hip flexor on the right hip now. Maintain that stretch overhead. Bend back. You'll probably increase it a little bit, and we'll do a few repetitions there. Nice controlled breathing. Now we'll go into some of those big twists on the other side. You'll see me, my goal here is to open my entire chest up to the camera. I can use my knee for a little bit of leverage. There's some cracking and popping going on, which is just fine. Keep making a few more big turns. Making sure we're controlling our breath. If we're going a little faster, you don't feel like you need to keep up. If you're a position behind, or you skip the position because it's too hard, that is perfectly fine. Keep trying the video, you'll get better. You'll get faster, everything will get easier. And you'll hopefully see some strokes fall off your score in your golf game, and hopefully get rid of some pain that might have been sticking around for a while. All right, so we're going to go down to both knees. Now, if you have trouble kneeling, I understand that. You can just drop back into a child's pose, hopefully shift some of that weight off the knee to where you're comfortable while we go through the next few postures. If that's still uncomfortable, go ahead and shift, have a seat on your bottom, put your legs out front. You can try some nice simple hamstring stretches, maybe forward bends. You can even add a twist. But for the rest of us, we're going to stay in the kneeling position. We get the hips involved with a little hip hinge movement, so we'll drop back onto our feet and come back up. Drop back into your feet, come back up. So when you come back up, you want to feel a squeeze in your glute, squeeze in your abs, lock out that position, achieve nice straight hips across here, and come back down. We're going to come into some positions that are even more difficult next. So this next one can be a big time quad stretch. You'll even feel it in your hip flexors a lot of times. I have to tuck my toes under. I'm going to drop back. Feel that stretch. Keep going as far as you can. You can have your hands across your chest. And come back up. This is a pretty advanced position. So if it's too tough right now, that's okay. We'll keep it in mind to come back in the future. And you don't have to go as far back as I am. You can simply go to here and back up. And each time you do this position, it's going to get a little bit easier. Your quads are going to get a little bit stronger, a little bit more flexible. And hopefully in a few weeks, maybe a few months, you'll be dropping all the way back this way, which is still hard for me. All right, so we can drop all the way back, and if we want, we can even shift our arms to the ground, open up the chest, drop the head back, and breathe. You should not only feel the stretch in your knees and your quads, but all the way up into your chest, the front of your neck, as you just let your head roll back. Again, if you can't stay in the position this long, or you can't get there in the first place, don't worry too much about it. Keep working on it. It will come when it's supposed to come to you. Great, and we can come back up. Next, we're going to transition down to our bottoms. If you're a little out of breath and these movements have been tough, take a moment, pause the video if you want, let your breathing slow down, find your center, and relax. And then whenever you're ready, you just follow back along with me. So we're going to go into that butterfly position. We all went through this position in youth sports, so feet together, spine up tall, let your knees drop toward the ground. And breathe. Now, a lot of times what I like to do, take my arms overhead and add a bend to it. So I'll drop this arm down, reach, really feel the side open up, kind of like you do in a backswing if you're a right-handed golfer. We'll drop the left, reach your arm over, and feel the muscles stretch like they do in the downswing. We'll go back a few times. Again, listen to your body. If you prefer a hold, go with a hold. If you would just like to get a few repetitions where you go back and forth, get a few repetitions going back and forth. Again, listen to your body, follow along with it, control your breathing. We're going to look at the same principles no matter what movement we're doing. All right. Next, I'm going to drop a foot out front. Now, I think you'll see this better if I turn sideways. So I'm going to shift one knee in that butterfly position, one knee out front, spine tall, a few deep breaths. If you feel like this position isn't too much of a challenge, you're going to go ahead and lift that foot up. You can cradle the leg. You can go hands under, hand around the knee, whatever comfortable. And then I like to swing it back and forth. So it can be a big time stretch to the outer hip. So we'll see this from the other angle as we go through the movements. We're going to let that foot drop down, knee drops out, and we'll get a stretch through here. This one you're going to feel probably through the inside of the leg and the groin area. Spine tall, breathing controlled. Next, we'll let the foot drop to the ground. That foot's on the ground. We'll take the arm opposite of our leg that's crossed, put it on the knee, and we will twist. And hold this big twist for about 30 seconds, making sure to maintain your breathing. If you can go a little farther, but it makes you hold your breath, I don't want you to go farther. So you should only go as far as you can while comfortably maintaining your breathing. Again, feel free to use your knee for leverage. And after we've been there for a moment, we'll turn back forward, drop that knee straight, bring the other one up into the butterfly position. Find that tall position. Check in with our breathing. Staying relaxed, staying in control. We're going to scoop the foot up. And we're going to swing back and forth. Again, big time stretch through that outer hip down here. Go back and forth. Your arms can be all the way around your leg. If it's more comfortable, you can go under here. We just want to make sure we get that hip nice and loose. Go ahead and drop the foot on top of the knee. Drop this knee down. Find that tall position again. Check in with your breath. Let's take one big breath to make sure we're where we want to be. We'll drop that foot flat. Again, we've got the right leg bent over. You could be on the left leg. That's perfectly fine. Whichever one you're on, take the opposite arm. Reach it around. Use the knee for leverage. And twist. Nice controlled breathing. Hold that twist as far as you can, but make sure it's a position you can maintain. Not a position that makes you out of breath, or you feel like you can't breathe, and especially not if it's painful. We're going to hold for another 15 seconds. Again, use your knee for leverage, use the ground for leverage. Get yourself twisted away. Upper back mobility is huge for your golf game. And now we also are incorporating the hip as well. And relax. We'll come back to that first position. We're going to try a few things for some core strength. So we're going to go what you call boat pose. So you'll go ahead and lift both legs up. Chest is here. Nice straight line, nice straight line. We're just going to hold. You can drop your arms out. We can bring one leg forward. Bring it up. Bring the other leg forward. Again, you don't have to hold this for every second. If you can only do it for 1 or 2 seconds, 1 or 2 seconds is fine today. We'll keep striving to get better, and we're going to hope it translates to the golf course. Work with a lot of people on this stuff, and it rarely, very rarely does not translate to the golf course. We can bring arms overhead, add a little bit of a different challenge, drop arms down. You can drop all the way to the ground, feel that shake in your abs, and back. We're going to do 2 more of those. Go ahead and drop down, hold, 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 and up. One big breath in this position. Drop down, and relax. Go ahead and drop all the way to the ground. Catch your breath just for 1 minute. We've only got a few more poses to go. But I know that was hard for me. Hope it was difficult for you too. Okay, we're going to look to stretch the shoulders. Finish with a little bit more core strength. 1 more twist, and we're going to call it a day. So, arms behind you. Here, chest pressed up toward the ceiling. Very open. Should really feel your rib cage expand with each inhale. Drops down with each exhale. You're going to drive through the heels. Lift your butt off the ground. And hold. And drop down. And back up. And back down. This is tough on your shoulders. You do not have to do this position. You can go into child's pose, back to any of your favorites, and we'll work to get stronger, and hopefully it's in your future practice. If you have a lot of pain, make sure to let me know in the comments. I can give you some guidance. It's always important to contact a medical professional as well. Myself, I'm a physical therapist. I'm certified by Titleist Performance Institute, and there's a lot of folks like me around the country. So we're going to drop our hands back, fingers face toward the wall, palms toward the body, feet firmly planted on the ground, and we'll go in the tabletop position. Again, really open that chest up. Breathe when you get up there. If this doesn't feel right on your shoulders or your elbows, it might not be in your practice now, but we hope it's there in a few weeks. Drop down. I'm going to go in that position 1 more time. Again, fingers spread nice and wide apart. Fingers back toward the wall. Toes forward, nice and stable through the heels. Press up. Tabletop position. Nice strong abs. 1 big deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. And drop down. Perfect. And that last twist I promised you, we're going to go into a book opener. So lay on your side, hips and knees bent. Let the head drop to the ground. You can even use your other arm as a pillow if you would like. Hand across your chest, all open. Once you get back there, nice deep breath. Exhale, press your shoulder blade toward the ground. And back over. And open up again. And forward. Let's do 2 more, and then we're going to switch sides. And forward. Back once more. Again, when we're back there, inhale. Exhale. Shoulder blade reaches toward the ground. And come back forward. For you, you can just roll to the other side. I'm going to flip over so you can still follow along on the camera. Hip and knees bent. Head either resting on the ground or on your arm. Now we're repeating the movement from the other side. So we're going to roll all the way open. Aim our chest up toward the ceiling. Maybe take a deep breath and roll back. So, same as the other side. You can slowly and smoothly roll back and forth, or you can rotate to that back position. Take a big inhale, reach the shoulder blade for the ground, and open up as much as you can. We're going to keep this rotation backward and forward, hopefully loosening up the upper back, making a big shoulder turn easier. Now we're going to flip onto the back for our last posture. So here we're going to drop our legs straight, arms at the side, completely melt into the mat and relax. We're going to take several deep breaths here. I want you to spend at least a minute, but you can spend more. I'm going to let the video end when we're in this position, but I want to make sure you take a good breath here through your rib cage. So that inhale is really going to expand your ribs, and that exhale is going to let them drop down. Continue this position as long as you would like. I'm going to cut the video off here, so if you want to hang out for 1 minute or 10 minutes, either is fine. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below the video, and I'll see you guys next time on Yoga for Golfers.